when you don't understand the right enemy, you project the enemy outside. So in any battle, there are two enemies. One is the enemy that you projected, which is the outside. Another is the enemy sitting inside. Arjuna is thinking the enemy is outside, and the enemy outside is nothing but a projection of his own self. Not only it is his own self, it's the way in which the mind tries to avoid the real enemy. The mind always tries to make you blind to the real enemy. So it projects the enemy outside and takes your attention outside. The moment your attention is taken outside, you will be constantly fighting with that enemy. And how much ever you fight with that enemy, you can never conquer, because the enemy that you are fighting outside, there is no enemy there. How can you fight an enemy who's not there? But then the mind makes it looks like the enemy is there so clearly outside. So I say there are two enemies. One is the enemy that you imagine, another is the true enemy which you refuse to accept. So he says the true enemy is inside, and the projected enemy is outside. Very difficult to accept the enemy that is inside, because if you accept the enemy that is inside, it's like saying you bring your own destruction. If you accept the enemy is inside, in effect what you are saying is you are causing your own destruction. But the mind says no. Okay, here and there I too cause my own destruction, but you can't discount the destruction caused from outside. You can't destroy the enemy from outside, because there is an enemy sitting outside. Arjuna throughout this chapter is trying to fight the enemy that is outside, and 17 chapters Krishna says fights the enemy inside. Two different enemies they are talking about. That's all. Right through chapter 1, Arjuna says enemy is outside. From chapter 2, he is going to say enemy is inside. But there is no enemy. There is no enemy outside. How much ever you fight that enemy, you still end up losing the battle, because it's like boxing your own shadow. You can try and box. How much ever you box, who gets tired? Able to follow boxing your own shadow? Try and box your own shadow. How much ever you box, you end up tired, and the shadow remains as strong as ever. Therefore, he goes round and round and round, arguing how the enemy is outside. There is no enemy outside. The enemy is inside. And the enemy inside is of two things. The enemy inside is of two types. One is the senses, another is the mind. The enemy is inside. What is the nature of that enemy inside? It is of two types. One is the senses, another is the mind. And this mind and senses always work like hand in glove. One protects the other. The senses protects the mind covers up for the senses. Both saying what? Saying enemy is outside. Keep the focus outside. Never turn inside. Never turn inside. Why we use the word enemy is because enemy is one who has the intention to cause harm. Enemy is that who has an intention to cause harm, to destroy. He has that intention. Mind and senses also has the same intention. That's why it's an enemy. It's not that it's innocent. It also carries the same intention. It carries the same intention, but it is not aware of its own intention. It intends to harm, but it's not aware of it. Since it is not aware of it, it assumes that it's all right. Therefore, you need knowledge. And knowledge means understand this. Knowledge means not offering solutions. Knowledge doesn't mean offering solutions. If you are offering solutions, you become wise at the expense of others' problem. That's what they do. So all these counselors, what they do, they try and offer solutions. How much ever solution you offer, it doesn't work. At the most, the counselor become, at the expense of your problem, he becomes wise. But your problem remains the same. Are you able to follow what I am saying? The second thing is, another thing is this. Another thing is, they say Einstein was a complete failure as a teacher. No one was able to accept him as a teacher. He is a complete failure as far as teaching is concerned. He is a failure. But then, rarely you get teachers like that. True teachers. Because when he is taking a class, 55 minutes he will take to explain the problem. 5 minutes the students derive the solution. He doesn't offer solution. He goes on explaining the 55 minutes he takes to explain the problem. 5 minutes everyone knows how to find the solution. Opposite of that is straight away give solutions when the problem itself is not understood. And when the problem is explained, the mind refuses to, when the problem is explained, the mind will refuse to cooperate with this understanding, because it is very clear what the problem is. It is very clear. The enemies are outside. The problem is outside. Many janmas a person has to take to digest the fact that the problem is inside. If the problem is inside, you have to work inside of you. Like the Upanishad says, search where you lost it. The Upanishad says, search where you lost it. The lady lost the needle in the house. She is searching on the roadside. The man said, why are you searching here? Because there is light. House is full of dark. How can I? If you have to search, you need light. There is no light in the house. Therefore, what can I search? But there is light outside. Therefore, I search. Yeah. The master looked at her and said, search where you lost it. So the whole time has to be spent on explaining where you have lost it. Where you have lost it? You have lost it inside of your own self. Inside of your own self, in the sense of two things: the senses and the mind. The senses and the mind. More the senses participates, more the attraction. More the senses can participate, more the attraction. Along with the mind's imagination of, added to that is the mind's imagination of enjoyment. As it is, senses has this capacity to enjoy as it is. Like for example, I'll give a simple example. More number of senses participate, more joyful it is. Like food. Take a simple example, food. First thing, the food has to cater to your eyes first. How it has to cater to your eyes? How it has to cater to your eyes? It has to look good. First, it has to look good. It has to be colorful. First, it has to look good. If it is looking good, there is some, you start salivating. The very fact that it is looking good. One sense is attended to. The second sense, it has to smell good. The aroma. It has to smell good. Oh. Then the actual food, which is the tongue. Which is the tongue. Three senses participate. What happens? More enjoyment. So what they do is, they want to cater to the ears also. So they put sound. So they put music also. That's why, why they put background sound, because it caters to the. So more the senses participate, more the enjoyment. Not only more the enjoyment, the mind starts. Mind also participates in it. Mind also joins the imagination of enjoyment. Therefore, what happens? The combination of the senses and the mind completely deludes you into the belief. What is the belief? Joy is outside. Anything, anyone, anything interfering between you and your joy content, eliminate them in order so that you can be. This eliminating that which comes in between you and your happiness is, you call it as enemy. That which comes in between you and your joy content, you call it as enemy, and you will be ready to do anything to destroy that enemy. And you go on destroying that enemy, nothing happens, because the sorrow continues. The unfulfillment continues. The unfulfillment continues. Therefore, Arjuna is saying the enemy is outside. Krishna is going to say the enemy is inside. Between the two, only one is correct. Either it is inside or it is outside. It's not partly inside, partly outside. It doesn't work that way. Either it is inside or it is outside. Million times you can hear, you will still go back saying the enemy is outside. The enemy is still outside. Who's an enemy? The mind and the senses constantly wants to be in joy, enjoyment. The nature of the senses, the nature of the mind is to seek enjoyment. And anything that interferes with it, you will call it as enemy. And you find everything interfering with it, because either your hopes get, first thing, you had a hope of enjoyment, and the hopes get frustrated. Your hopes get, what happens to the hopes? You contact with the hope of, you run behind, you chase behind with the hope of enjoyment. What happens to that hope? The hope gets affected. Hopes get shattered. The hopes get shattered. You turn around and say, you cheated. You turn around and say, you cheated. Are you able to follow this? Okay, I'll give a simple example. Why all relationship breaks? It doesn't matter whatever relationship is, all relationship breaks. Why? Wrong expectation. Why it breaks? Wrong understanding, wrong expectation. Why it breaks? Why it breaks? It breaks. At least you understand it breaks. No. It breaks. Howsoever noble it is, howsoever high it starts, howsoever great it starts, somewhere down the line it breaks. It collapses. It doesn't matter whatever be the nature of the relationship. It breaks. It collapses. Why? Because of your expectation. What is that expectation? Selfish. Hope of enjoyment. They fall in love, no? And they fall in love, what they tell each other? Simple question. Philosophical answer pannadingo. Yeah. Very ordinary question. They fall in love. When they fall in love, what do they say? What do they say? Venkat. I love you. When they say I love you, what are they actually saying? What are they actually saying? If you understand this, you will never say I love you. That's why I never say I love you. Even if I say that, nobody believes it, because I know they all know that I am lying. If you understand this, you will never say I love you. When they say I love you, there is a false hope given to the other. There is a false promise given to the other. What is the false hope? What is the false promise? I will give you happiness. That's why never say I. Don't you love me? Don't you love me now? What are they actually asking? Cause? Give me happiness. Give me happiness. Give me. When you yourself can't give happiness to you, how can anyone? Even from outside give. But then you will go on believing what? Are you able to follow this example? That's where in this culture we never say I love you at all. Truly they never say. Why? Because there is a false promise. There is a false hope given. What is the false promise? What is the false hope given? They hold the hands and they say, I will be the cause for your happiness. I will make you happy. Don't worry. I will make you happy. And the person also believes in it, falls for it. 6 months down the line, 1 year down the line, they realize what? There is no happiness. And then they turn around and say, you cheated me, therefore I hate. Krishna says, you cheated your own self. How did you cheat your own self? You cheated your own self by you give the false promise to the other, and you are looking for and you are looking outside. Who will give this? Who will give this promise to you? What is the promise? What is the promise? I will make you happy. You can't make yourself happy. If you have to make yourself happy, you need a perfect person, you need a perfect environment, you need everything perfect. And the mind believes in that perfect environment you can be happy. Therefore, it drives you to search for that perfect person, it drives you to search for that perfect environment. Even Krishna were to stand in front of you, he will also look imperfect. He will also look imperfect because of what? Like for example, even me as a person, if you take, you might appreciate my logic, but you might not like my accent. You might like my accent, but you might not like my face. You may like my face, but you might not understand what I am talking. You follow what I am saying? So there is no such thing called perfect person or perfect environment or a perfect situation that can make you happy. Looking for that perfect environment, perfect person, perfect situation makes you to believe that everything outside is imperfect. Because makes you to believe that everything outside is imperfect. Why? First thing is you had a hope, and the hopes get shattered. Every time you develop a hope and your hopes get shattered, you have a heartbreak. Yeah. They put the heart sign also and it is broken, isn't it? The smileys. I also keep sending. Yeah. There's a heart and the heart is broken. Act as though you have a heart, but actually be heartless. Just put up an act as though you have some heart. Otherwise, you don't have to do anything. Your heart will, day in and day out, it will be breaking. First thing, your hopes get shattered. Number one. Number two is, even in a perfection, your own selfishness will come and destroy it. Even if something good comes to you, you are not able to receive it. You are not able to welcome it because of your own selfishness. How your own selfishness destroys it? Your own selfishness destroys it because you want it to happen in the way that you put conditions. In the totality, you exist or you don't exist, nothing matters to the totality, correct? But everyone's ego believes that they are very vital, they are very, very important. But the reality of life says what? Your existence or your non-existence doesn't make any difference to anybody. the enemy is sitting inside of you. When you say inside of you, one part of you is that enemy. When you say inside of you, where it is inside of you, don't think that it is somewhere inside of you means some alien body sitting inside. When you say inside of you, don't think it as some alien body. One part of you is your own. What is that part in you? The senses and the mind. The senses wants enjoyment. Mind imagines. The senses want enjoyment. The mind imagines. In that imagination, it drives the senses. Senses have a very limited capacity to enjoy. Senses doesn't have all-time capacity. The capacity of the senses is very, very, very limited. That's why you get bored very fast. You get bored very fast. But you still continue because the mind is imagining still. The mind is still imagining. What is imagination? Enjoyment is still. Enjoyment is there. Enjoyment is there. Vicarious enjoyment. Actually speaking, no one really enjoys anything. No one really enjoys anything. More number of senses can be attracted, more enjoyment it gives instantly. Just as I gave the example of food. Another example. Yeah. Even in a man's shaving cream, why 6 women have to dance? Yeah. And they know no woman is going to buy that cream, no? Why they dance? Because the senses has to be attracted. Once the senses are attracted, mind follows. Senses attracted, the mind follows. There is no knowledge, there is no knowledge, there is no understanding, there is no intellect, as a result of which what happens? You fight the enemy that is not outside. Arjuna is giving reasonings, Arjuna is giving arguments as to say how the enemy is outside. When you see the enemy as outside, permanently you can't see someone as your enemy. Permanently you can't see someone as your friend also. Both are true. If someone is appearing as a friend to you today, don't worry. It's a question of time. He will be turning into an enemy. Someone is appearing as an enemy today, he was your friend. Who's your enemy today? Who was your friend yesterday? So you keep from friendship to enmity, enmity to friendship, you keep oscillating, you keep moving, and every movement makes you to believe what? Makes you to believe what? The mistake that I made now, I will not make it with the next. I will not make it with the next. Okay, I made a mistake with this, but from now on I will be very careful and not repeat the mistake. And you go on repeating the same mistake. Like he keeps saying, at least try and do a new mistake. Why repeat the same mistake? And you can't do any new mistake. You have to repeat the same mistake. What is the mistake? Enemy is outside. The enemy is outside. Fight with that Fight with that enemy sitting inside. Arjuna is giving reasonings. So many reasonings he gave. Now what all reasons he gave. They are all our own kinsmen. How can we kill our own people? Will you get any joy by killing your own people? So it's all leading questions where the answer has to be. He is asking questions in such a way where the answer that you have to give is that the answer that you have to give is what? Correct, Arjuna. Correct, Arjuna. Therefore, the conclusion is what? Let us move away. Therefore, the conclusion is let us move away, run away. Look at the irony of the world. Even today the world thinks Arjuna is a great warrior. In the deepest core he is a coward. In the deepest core he is a coward. That's why it's so difficult to take chapter. I was asking, I think last week or previous, one of the weeks there was a class here. I told him, chapter 1 you take, he asked me. I said, yes. Verse by verse you take? Yeah, verse by verse only you take. Guts jasti pa. Because what is there to talk in chapter? There is nothing to, because he is speaking the language of the coward. From outside it looks very good. And he is a great warrior. Why he is a great warrior? Because he can speak the language of, he speaks the language of cowardice, but covers it up nicely with, how he covers it up nicely? He covers it up nicely with saying, how can you kill your own people? Will we not cause destruction in the society? Will we not do this? Will we not do that? And society is important. Yeah. Society is, see, the person sitting in Indian society thinks Indian society is bad, American society is good. I speak to the American, he says, sir, Indian society is good. Now you stand in between, in the middle of the ocean, seeing this side, seeing that side, you don't know which society is right, which society is wrong. Met that lady in the last 1 month. From where are these people appear? God only knows, but they appear. Her name is Precious. So I have to call her Precious. Have your, because they keep all these, they keep funny names like that. Precious, Beautiful, Goldie. So this Precious, have breakfast, have dinner, have lunch. She was saying that, sir, today I understand how the Indian system of arranged marriage is amazing. I said, come and talk to any Indian, they will prove to you that how it is the worst. Because the Indians are dying to do anything to get out of India. And you are dying to do anything to get into India. That's why all flights are full. This way, that way. Mad chase. When you are here, you think that is better. You go there, you can find 100 things not going right in that society. Fundamentally, every human being is a coward. Fundamentally, every human being is a coward. coward because it takes you away from what you. Why you are a coward? Why every human being is a coward? Because it takes you away from. Arjuna is a coward. Why? All the logic, all the reason is giving. For what? To escape, to run away. From what? That which he ought to do, the mind gives excuses to avoid. And every excuse looks very very logical, very perfect, very correct, and how much ever you do, what remains? How much ever you do, what remains? The insecurity remains, the agitation remains, the frustration, that doesn't go away, that doesn't change, because that is fundamentally still alive. Therefore, Krishna is going to say, enemies are not outside, enemy is inside. Arjuna talks the language of coward. See, any ignorant man talking philosophy is nothing but cowardice. Why? Because he is covering it up. And you need courage to stand up and face. If a Kshatriya is not having courage, now who else is going to? And a man of Arjuna's caliber is not having the courage to face. He is not having the courage to face the reality. He is not having the courage to face the reality. What is the reality? What is the reality? The reality is this. Number one, the world outside is perfect. Full stop. Number two, the world that you create out of your own imagination is always imperfect. Both doesn't match. Understand, there are two things. One is the world outside. Another is the world that you project, the world that you create. The world that you create is always imperfect because it is your imagination. Why it is imperfect? Because in that world you are the center and you want. In the world that you project, you are the center and you want everything to happen around that center, and the real world outside has no center. The real world outside has no center. It exists, it functions, constantly moving. It functions, it exists. The world that you create is always disturbing, is always agitating. Why? Because in that you are the center. As long as you are the center, the world outside is not obliged to cater to your imaginary world. Therefore, first thing, stop imagining. Get out of that and live in the real world. Get out of your imaginary world and live in the real world. But imagination suits you. Imagination gives a kind of solace. Imagination comforts. Imagination is always comforting. What is the imagination? What is imagination? Which is comforting, that gives solace. The imagination is one day everything will be alright. One day everything will be That one day, when that one day comes, God only knows, but there is that one day. If not that one day, there is one environment. If you enter into, everything will be all right. Yeah. Nothing becomes all right, because the enemy is inside. I think we have concluded up to 44. 42 தான் வந்திருக்கோமா? இன்னும் எவ்வளோ இருக்கா? 43 படிங்க. By these misdeeds of the destroyers of family that cause intermixture of castes, the eternal religious rights of castes and families are destroyed. He is continuing the same argument. Intermixture of castes will happen, religious rights gets destroyed. All this will make no sense to us, because anyway we don't have value for, anyway we don't understand what caste is, anyway we don't understand what religious rights means, because according to us we think both are superstitious, because we are all very wise, intelligent people sitting here, and it is always true. The present generation thinks they are the wisest. When you are young, you thought you are, that generation of yours is the wisest, and today your children think they are the wisest. Some of you have grandchildren, they think they are the wisest. It's a tragedy of life. Arjuna is also continuing the same thing. So he is saying intermixture of caste will happen, religious rights gets destroyed. You agree, you don't agree, you accept, you don't accept, castes exist, full stop. As long as you are bound by the gunas, there will be caste, full stop. Caste system is an intelligent understanding of the proportion, the mixture of gunas, the three gunas, sattva, rajas and tamas. As long as you are a victim of the gunas, as long as the three gunas exist, caste will exist. They might not use the name, that's all, but nevertheless it exists. There will be a predominantly sattvic person, there will be a predominantly tamasic person, there will be a predominantly rajasic. They will exist, because as long as gunas exist, there will be caste. Number one. Number two is the lower gunas are more attractive than the higher gunas. Sattva is very unattractive. Rajas is attractive. Tamas is bliss. Yeah, tamas is bliss. Rajas is attractive. Sattva is as long as these gunas exist, caste system it will exist. In the sense, who is a predominantly tamasic person? What is tamas? In one word. Ignorance. In one word, tamas. So many times I have said this. Okay, in one word, what is rajas? In one word, what is rajas? Agitation. In one word, what is tamas? Huh? Ignorance. Indolence. Heedlessness. Full stop. That's all tamas is. Heedless. Out of 100 actions, depending on the number of heedless actions you perform, you know how tamasic you are. That's all. Just assume it like that. So tamas is nothing but heedlessness. Heedlessness means? Heedless means? Careless, irresponsible. That's all tamas is. What is rajas? Agitations. Agitations, passion, agitations. That is rajas. What is sattva? What is sattva? Equanimity, yeah. Tamas also is very equanimous. So don't use the word equanimity. Use some other word for sattva. What is sattva? Calm, balanced, equanimous. Synonyms use pannadingo. Yeah, don't use synonyms. What is sattva? Cheerful. Tamas, heedless. Correct. Pramada, heedless it is. Rajas is agitations. Sattva is, what is sattva? Dynamic. Correct. Sattva is dynamism. Sattva is dynamism. Rajas is agitations. Tamas is heedless. Depending on the proportion of the gunas, they categorized human beings. Number one. Number two, intermixture should not be. Intermixture is not allowed. Why? Why? Lower is more attractive. Correct. Lower is more attractive. Lower is more attractive. In the sense, child can study anywhere. No. Then why not take the child to the movie theatre every day, make the child to sit and study there? Correct? Oh no. Why not take the child to the bar, make the child drink and say study? Because it's not nothing there. That's all caste system is. You need clear demarcations. You need that. Why? Because that's the protection. You need that. Everyone needs that protection. Everyone needs that protection. Therefore, in intermixture, what happens? See, when the higher gets involved with the lower will not go up. The higher will come down. Please understand that. If you allow this intermixture, the higher will not, the lower will not become higher. The higher will become lower. Lowest. Because as it is there is a natural gravitation, and you allow this free intermixture saying that nothing matters, do you want? What happens? There is a free fall. Therefore, to avoid that, they were very particular about this intermixture. Since they understood all this, Arjuna looks like very worried about. See, today, if you ask the man to talk today, he will not talk about intermixture of caste. He will not talk about religious rights getting destroyed. What will today's man talk? What will today's man talk? You talk to any man outside this classroom. What will they say? Gender equality. What will they say? Gender equality. outside the classroom also you argue, when you are sitting in the train, when you are going in a bus, you talk to people, you also sit and give discourses to people, how society should be. All right, what will you say? What do you say? What do you say as your solution for Vedanta self-realization? அது கிளாஸ்க்குள்ள வந்தாதான் இல்லையா? கிளாஸ்க்குள்ள வந்தா Vedanta self-realization. Class முடிஞ்சா I don't know, whatever it is, something else, I don't know, whatever it is. What do you offer as a solution? You also say something. What will you say? Economic. Correct. Today, economics. Very correct. RK sir. Economics is the first thing. Economics means? What does economics means? Wealth. Full stop. Wealth. That's all. First create wealth. Make money. And then you can do whatever you want. Understand? From chapter 2 we can keep the same logic. Chapter 1 we have to keep changing the characters. In those days Arjuna was a character, and today Arjuna should not be the character. Any one of us should be the character. Replace Arjuna and place yourself there. What arguments you will give? Whatever arguments you give. But nevertheless, the concept remains the same. What is the concept? Number 1, intermixture of caste means the higher and lower should not be allowed to mix. In the schools they tried it for a while. They have stopped it now. See what they will do, they will choose the 5-6 brilliant students they will take, and then there are dull students. Group they form, 1 brilliant student and 3 dull students. In 2 months down the line, it's not that the 3 becomes brilliant, that brilliant becomes dull. The brilliant becomes dull. Why? That's all. Because as it is, there is an attraction to the lower. With so much of difficulty they are struggling to be at the higher, and you allow that to happen, you allow that to mix freely. What will happen? The lower will not become higher. The higher turns lower. The higher turns lower. You sit and hear a discourse about what are all the health benefits of drinking alcohol. You will end up convinced what? You will end up convinced what? It's good for health. That lady was trying to convince me that how drinking is good for health. Her name is Precious. I said, who kept the name Precious for you? I asked. No sir, it has this, it has that, and this percentage of alcohol is good, this percentage of... In half an hour if you listen to her, you will be convinced. What? All your house, instead of all your refrigerator will be full of... That's why intermixture should not... That's why it should not happen. That's all. It's poetic. If you understand it correctly, you will also not allow all this. Otherwise, since you don't understand all this, you think what? Oh, they are all very bad people. They are very superstitious. They have this caste system. There is no caste system. What is nothing but the higher and the lower. Number 2, in this system there is an inbuilt mechanism. It's not that the lower is neglected. There is an inbuilt mechanism where everyone was given the opportunity to evolve. Everyone is given the opportunity to evolve. And Arjuna is so worried, what? By killing, by this war, intermixture of caste will happen. Not only that, religious rights will go. Religious rights will go. What is the religious right? What is the religious right? Rituals will go. Okay, forget about those rituals because we don't do those. What is today's rituals? We also have our own. Even today we have our own rituals. What is the ritual today? What is the ritual today? Huh? Which hand should hold the knife? Which hand should hold the fork? That's the ritual. You go there. No. Do it this way. You put it both and mix it with. Yeah. You drop both, mix it with hand and just eat. It's a ritual. That's all. Now, who decides which way, what way it is? You understand? Meetings now you should go suit. Casuals now you can wear. Beach now you should wear. See, in Goa, if you wear 3-piece suit and sit in the beach, it will look. Because in Goa, even the fellow with big, yeah, they look very ugly with the shorts. But they also wear shorts because it is a ritual. What is a ritual? If you go there, you have to wear shorts. If you go to a board meeting, you have to wear. It's a ritual. Correct? No? That's all. Anyone, so you are so particular about what? You are so particular about rituals. That's all it is. Someone decided something, that's all ritual. What is the meaning of ritual? Someone decided something and you want to follow that. That's all. I'm not saying go to a board meeting with shorts and t-shirt. No, please. That's not what it is. An action done without any action done without knowing why you are doing. And you have a reason to do. It's not that you don't have a reason. You have a reason to do. What is the reason? The most dangerous reason you have to do what you are doing today. The most dangerous reason and only reason. What is that? Everyone has a reason to do what they are doing. Only reason. And that reason is the most dangerous reason. What is that reason?
Herd instinct.
Herd instinct. What others will think. Nanga? What is the dangerous reason? I like it, full stop. That's all. Why are you doing this? I like it. That's all. There is no, why are you marrying this person? Like this person. Why are you divorcing? I like. And you have a reason to do all that you are doing. What is the reason? Only one reason. And that is the most dangerous reason. That's the most deadliest reason. What is it? I like. And you do not know anything. You do not know anything other than that. The highest action, the noblest action is obligatory action. And obligatory action is that which is not based on your likes and dislikes. So, obligatory action is not based on your likes and dislikes. Most of the actions, if not all, is based on what? I like. That which you like half an hour back, you will not like now. That which you like now, you will not like half an hour later. Clear? Before the class you liked something, halfway through the class you are so well resolved. What? So well resolved. What? Before next Sunday I will come out self-realized, well resolved. Half an hour later, something else. There is no rituals. You do it because there is no. What is a ritual? Ritual is an action doing without knowing why you are doing it. And you think you know. What do you know? I like it. Therefore I do it. Arjuna is so worried. What is he so worried about? These things are going to get destroyed. Krishna is saying, better they get destroyed. Better you all get destroyed. So he makes sure that no one comes alive. Krishna remains unmoved. He's not saying one word. He's not saying. Why he's not saying one word is because at the end of the argument he's waiting for Arjuna. At the end of the talk, there are two possibilities. One possibility is you can say, one possibility is what? Therefore what I am saying is correct. I am not ready to listen to you and you can walk out. That is one possibility. If Arjuna is going to do that, Krishna will not talk Bhagavad Gita. What is the second possibility? Second possibility is I am confused. Suddenly Arjuna realized what? I am talking so well, but I am talking so well, but suddenly it appears what? I am completely confused. When you are confused, you surrender. When you are confused, you surrender. When you have clarity, you cannot surrender. Ignorance is also a type of clarity. Ignorance is also a type of clarity where you think you know. Not only you think you know, you think that is a solution for others also. Therefore, Krishna is waiting for that situation to test whether Arjuna, because Krishna doesn't know what direction Arjuna is going to take. Krishna has no clue to. Thank God he took the right direction. What is the right direction? He surrendered. He surrendered. When he surrenders, Krishna was there right from verse 1. Straight away he could have told Krishna what? Instead of going such a roundabout arguments and then finally saying, I am confused. Straight away Arjuna could have told Krishna what? I am confused, Krishna. Tell me what I should do. No. Now problem is, but then you cannot do that. First thing. That's where so painful is to because you have to sit and listen to all the useless talk of and the tragedy is they think they are very, very wise, very logical, and more you stay quiet, more they think they are correct. Yeah, see, if another man is quiet now, you should also turn. Instantly you should also turn quiet, because more he is quiet now, more you think what? See, Krishna's quietude fed Arjuna so much. So therefore he is blabbering so many things. What is the blabber? Intermixture of caste happens, religious rights will destroy, this will happen, that will happen. What all happened? Nothing happened except one thing. What? What is the only thing that happened? my mouth is parched, my hand is shivering, my legs are trembling, I can't stand. That's the only thing that happened. Everything else is alright. You understand? Everything else is alright. Therefore, these deeds, what is the deed? This misdeed. He doesn't even call it as deed. It's a misdeed. Wrong action. What is the wrong action? That which you ought to do looks always wrong. That which you ought not to do looks right. Looks right. See, a simple example I'll give you. If you say, first worry about yourself, immediately you will become very unselfish, and you will say what? You will say, no sir, how can we worry about only ourselves? We should worry about others also, no? Okay, then start worrying about others. Now you will say, no, it's all their problem, I will worry about myself. Are you able to follow how the vicious logic is? First we say worry about yourself. Immediately the mind will argue and say, what? No sir, we are not very selfish. That's where spiritual evolution looks very, everyone without exception they come and ask, but is it not being very selfish, sir, that we should worry only about our own evolution, as though you can collectively evolve? Yeah, you can see, collectively can you get educated? Can you get educated collectively? Yes or no? School you can go to collectively, but education happens individually, correct? Can you collectively eat? Eating happens, everything happens in life individually only. Yeah. Collectively nothing can be. But then Vedanta says, first worry about yourself, grow. Immediately you will argue and say, no, I am not very selfish. I want others also to grow. Okay, then help others to grow. Now you will say, no. Either way, what are you actually saying? Either way, what are you saying? I will do what? I like to do. I will do what? I like to do. Full stop. End of the story. Doesn't matter what you can say whatever you want to say. End of the day, I will do what? I like to do. Stubborn it is. It's incredible how every single individual is so stubborn. So stubborn. Incredible it is. Why? Stubbornness arises out of tamas. Correct. It's a tamoguna. It's tamas, stubborn. What is the stubbornness? Stubbornness is nothing but, what is stubborn? I know. What have you to say? So whatever you say, the end result is going to be what? The end result is going to be a no. The end result is going to be a no. Therefore, thank God Arjuna didn't belong to this category of stubborn. Out of all the talk, finally he was able to say, what? I am confused, Krishna. I surrender. When Krishna started talking, even that surrender is not true surrender. Even in surrender, he was waiting for Krishna to agree with him. Carefully follow this. Even in surrender, Arjuna was waiting for Krishna to take What? Arjuna, you are right, let's run away. Even there he was still waiting for that answer. But with Krishna it doesn't work. If you are confused, he will create more confusion in you. Confusion to the point where you get exhausted. You get tired and say what? I give up. I give up the knowledge. I give up you. I give up everything. So tired you become. What is surrender? Even in surrender, there is still, he carried that hope. What is that hope? Krishna will agree. That's the difference between a Upanishadic student, a seeker, and Arjuna. For Upanishadic student, all that he wanted, all that he is comfortable hearing is Neti, Neti, Neti. That's all. He is very comfortable listening to that Neti. That's all he wanted. He doesn't want anything else. Here, for all the argument that he gave, he is blowing his lungs out, giving another argument. Again he will come back to the same point. What is the same point? Tell me in one word what I should do. As though he is ready to do. If anyone says, I am ready to do what you are saying, Abdina, don't get carried away. Don't think that, oh wow, I got one. Don't get carried away. Nobody, no fault of anyone. The mind is, I am ready to do all that you are ready to say. Krishna, tell me in one word what is good for, and he has been saying what is good. Get into the battle and fight. That's the only thing that is good for you. But that is not good, no. Say something else that is good for me. Say something else that is good for me. Now what is he actually saying? Tell me that what I like to do is the right thing to do. That's the enemy. All the time you want only one thing. What? You look for this. What do you look for? Please tell me what I like to do is the right thing to do. And the man of wisdom goes on saying what? It doesn't matter, the doing doesn't matter. What matters is the liking. I like to do the good thing, no. That's all. The like comes and makes the good also into bad. Are you able to understand? All along the argument is what? Tell me, I want to hear what I like to do is the right thing to do. That's where even when you go for advice, you will go to advice to people who will say yes to you. You will go to those who will say yes to. The moment you say no, the moment you believe that you are going to hear a no, you will not go there. You will not want it. You will not like it. Why? Because according to you, what you like is the right thing, and this destroys you. Doing actions based on likes and dislikes completely destroys you. That is the enemy. War is not the enemy. Getting into war because I like the war. Running away from war because now I don't like the war. Arjuna came into the battlefield because of what? He liked it, no. It's not that he was drawn into the fight. He was planning for this war. So he came into the battlefield liking it. Now he started disliking it. He wants to run away. This is the enemy sitting inside, driving your actions. Therefore, the enemy is not outside. War is never with outside. If you are blind to the enemy inside, that blindness will make you to project the enemy outside. Actually, there is no enemy outside. The enemy is only inside, in the form of senses, form of mind. Likes and the senses and the mind gets connected through likes and dislikes. The senses and the mind is connected through likes and dislikes. Therefore, the enemy is not the enemy outside. Enemy is that which connects the senses and the mind. What is it that connects the senses and the mind? Likes and dislikes. This drives the action and this causes destruction. Therefore, he is not aware the enemy is inside. So he is fighting the enemy inside. How much ever you box your own shadow, who gets tired? Who will get tired? Imagine you boxing your own shadow. See, you box your shadow, looks like the shadow is boxing you back. No. Actually speaking, you are, how much ever you battle, how much ever you fight, who gets tired? You get tired. Seriya?